Milo, is that you?
There, I think I got it. Kelly?
Yes, sir.
How you feeling, Kelly?
I'm better. I'm still having some issues with oxygen. Yeah, when I exert myself doing too much work, my concentration of oxygen goes down and I start to feel lightheaded.
I feel that way sometimes when I cough.
Yeah.
Which isn't good when you're driving down the highway at 70 plus miles an hour.
You lose concentration, right?
Yeah. Yeah. But are you getting better?
Yeah, I'm getting better. You know, like they told me it was going to be 6 months to a year before hopefully back where I was before I got sick. But it's just aggravating certain times.
It's very aggravating. Where do you have to wait to get a hip replaced?
Oh, geez.
That's aggravating, especially when you were scheduled to do it. Then you go and have a heart attack, and then you got to wait even longer. That's even aggravating more. You know, we have a doctor on call. Maybe he could help you. You know what? He's perfect for the AML Nation because he's a doctor without a license.
I got a good doctor. I fired my other doctor.
Our doctor fits in perfectly. That doctor is Mike Hauk, who is right there across the studio table.
Yeah.
Hello.
Hello, Mike. What's news?
What's news? Just got back from the Outer Banks, down there with the kids and the grandkids, and
oh, cool.
Wow.
Like in Carolina, there's a storm moving in there.
Yeah, we got out of there Sunday. It was a Sunday to Sunday rental, so we were out of there Sunday, and it wasn't too bad. I mean, the weather-wise, the traffic was hellish, but
did you drive down?
Yeah, we drove down.
How long?
We took 2 days. Took 2 days doing it because we met. We sort of semi-followed my oldest daughter and her husband and their 3 kids.
Right.
Part way. We stayed over in Winchester, Virginia.
Right. Yeah, because I think driving from Erie, Pennsylvania to the Outer Banks of North Carolina or South Carolina?
North Carolina.
North Carolina. Yeah. Is there Outer Banks in South Carolina?
Damned if I know.
Okay.
that's way too far south. It's a bad enough drive as it is.
Well, you found some in North Carolina anyways. But I think that wouldn't be a much of a fun drive to try to do that in the day, because once you're trying to get to the Outer Banks from the expressway, it would be a bit of an arduous process, I'm imagining.
Oh yeah. It's a slog going down. We could do it in a day, just my wife and I. You know, if we didn't have little kids with us, it would be about 10 hours. Coming back, it took us 9 hours to get from where we were staying in Duck to Winchester. Yeah, well, it was the Sunday of the 4th of July weekend. Everybody's trying to get home, and it was 64 and 95 were basically almost a parking lot for 200 miles. I mean, it was just awful.
The worst part of 95 when you're driving north is leaving South Carolina for North Carolina, because it goes from 3 lanes to 2. I think I'm beginning to realize it may be the only 2-lane stretch all the way from New York City or north of New York City of 95 until all the way to Miami. But, you know, if you're going north on like a July 4th or something, man, that where it narrows from 3 to 2 is just brutal.
Yeah.
Brutal. And don't travel on Easter Sunday either.
Oh.
That's another bad day. Okay. And then we also have our friend David Lund.
Good evening, everyone.
Yeah. So David lives in Whiting, Indiana, which is basically a suburb of Chicago.
Correct.
Go Blackhawks. Go Cubbies. White Sox. And what do you?
Sure.
Yeah. And what do you follow? You follow some soccer team.
Columbus Crew for Major League Soccer, and they are in Columbus, Ohio.
There is no such thing.
There is.
as Major League Soccer. I'm sorry, but it's not. No, there's no such
It
thing.
exists. It
No, it
exists.
doesn't. No, it doesn't. Not in my world. And so we have David Lund from Whiting, Indiana, just outside, just right, barely on the border. The border goes right to your house. We have Mike Hauk from Erie, Pennsylvania. Well, not Erie. It's just right outside Erie, Pennsylvania. And then we have our buddy, the modeler, simply known as Kelly, all the way from Medford, Oregon.
Hello.
I heard some distressing news today, Kelly.
Yeah, what'd you hear?
Our buddy George Taylor, who we're going to get back on the podcast, is now the president of 2 model railroad clubs, and he needs your advice.
Oh, retire.
Because now he's doing it in multiples like you do.
Oh, man.
And okay, so tonight's guest is going to be really interesting. Did you do any homework, Kelly?
I was working at Microtrains.
Oh,
today.
okay. How many hours are you putting in at Microtrains?
I'm doing 6 hours now.
Really?
5 days a week.
You're not getting.
And
You're
I'm
not starting that thing where you're getting up at 4:00 in the morning, are you?
Actually, 4:30 I get up in the morning.
How many hours of sleep are you getting?
I get about I go to bed about 9 or 10, so that's 3 hours, and 4 hours. That's 7 hours.
Do you ever just sleep? Do you ever just sleep in?
I try to, but then there's always something else that has to focus on, whether it's the house or the park.
You don't have to do it when you're recovering from being sick. You can just kind of ease up, you know.
Well, that's why I go to the park and I just veg out.
Yeah, no, you do not at the park. You just worry.
Oh yeah,
sweat.
I do.
You sweat
when there's nobody around, I veg out. I just take my time.
Yeah. All right. Well, I know as much as you'd like the entire show to be about you, it's not.
Well, you asked me a question, so I just answered
it. I know. It makes sense. Yeah. Tonight we are going to talk, Mike, to one of your buddies, Ray Brown.
Yes.
Greetings.
Yeah, Ray, come on into the studio.
Yeah, hello.
Hey, buddy, how you doing?
It's a lovely night. I'm doing great.
Okay. It could be the morning when somebody's listening to this.
Well,
it could be the afternoon because somebody could be driving to work at 4 a.m. It could be the afternoon. We don't know when people are listening to this.
that is true.
Yeah. But how did you guys meet, Ray and Mike? How did you guys meet?
I'm just trying to remember that. I don't know. Did you come to the Erie show, right?
I did. So I had been traveling the country for years for work, and I was moving home to Erie, and I had stumbled onto Rob Bennett's YouTube channel, and watching his videos, I kind of slowly realized, I'm like, this guy has to be from Erie. Just a lot of the references he makes, only a local Erie person would know this stuff. So I went to the Erie Trade Show thinking I'm going to find this Rob Bennett guy. And there he was standing at the NMRA table, and that's when I met all you guys.
Oh, okay. Yeah. And then it just snowballed from there. I remember you told us you thought you were the only guy in model railroading until you were 40 years old.
Yeah.
Well, doesn't everybody think that at some point? I mean,
pretty much, I think.
Yeah, probably not anymore. Probably that's the difference between. How old of a gentleman are you, Ray, if you don't mind me asking?
I just turned 46.
Okay, and what's your bank balance?
Pass.
And we'll need your credit card number and the 3 digits on the back.
Yep.
But what I was going to say, 46 is you started at an age when, the internet wasn't necessarily available. You were in model railroading, and that's so I would say probably 40 and under. The internet was maybe 30 and under, reasonably available. So probably what we're looking at in today's world is people don't feel that they're the only person. But I was the same as you, Ray. I thought for 30 years I was the only guy in the hobby. It's very sporadic.
Yeah, it really felt that way. You go to train show and you see some other people that, when you just be home working on stuff, you'd think, man, I'm the only person that does this. And your family definitely thinks you're the only person that does that. At least for me.
Yeah. Is this your first layout that we're going to talk about?
Oh, no. No, this is at least the 4th, if not the 5th.
Iteration of the because I found on your YouTube channel, which if anybody's looking for it, it is called, hang on, don't tell me. I got it right here. It is called the Bessemer and Lake Erie in HO scale on YouTube.
That's me.
And I found on one of the videos is from 12 years ago. Our buddy Nick Ozerak did one of your layout. Was that a previous layout?
Oh no, that's not mine.
Okay.
Yeah, that might have been.
That was in the Erie area, wasn't it?
Yeah. I think that was probably Ed Cronin's layout.
Yes, that's the name I remember.
Yeah,
I met him once.
Yeah, nice guy.
And then he said, "Don't ever come back to my house again." So, Mike, you guys met. How many years ago do you figure you guys met, Mike?
Oh gosh, 10. Has it been 10 years? Right?
Oh God, no. I've only been back in town 5, so.
Oh, okay.
Maybe 4 years.
Okay. All right.
So it
just seems like I've known you since forever. So
I think what we've learned tonight is time drags when you know Ray.
Yeah. There's probably people that would say that, so that seems fair.
So you moved back into Erie?
Yeah. So I am the great weird person. I was born and raised in Erie, and I was a GE person, building locomotives. And I took the opportunity to go set up our Fort Worth plant in Texas. So I lived down there for a while, had a layout there. I had a layout here in Erie before I moved. Then I lived in South Carolina for a while. As far as I know, we didn't have Outer Banks. And I one day I woke up and I was homesick, and I'm like, I think I'm going to move back to Erie. And when I told my family, they thought I needed, a psych evaluation or something. That I was living in South Carolina and I wanted to move back to Erie, Pennsylvania.
Yeah, so that you could plow snow for the rest of your life.
Yeah. I think we had 140 inches last year.
Wow. Erie gets a ton of snow. From Erie to Buffalo, man, that is. I know I've talked about it on the show before, and I live in an area. I get lake effect snow. As the crow flies, I'm probably only maybe 100 miles north of you guys, maybe 120 miles, 150 miles north of you guys. But I get my lake effect snow off of Lake Huron. You guys get yours off of Lake Erie.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it's a drier snow.
Yeah, it's a dry snow. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, that's it. It's a dry snow. Yeah, and the main difference for you guys as opposed to me, you guys don't get Canadian news, even though you're literally like 30 miles from Canada. But so you wouldn't get all those snow reports from up north. But sometimes I'm like killing myself laughing because it's snowing like crazy in Erie and it's not snowing at my house. Sorry.
We do get London's best rock. FM 96 comes in pretty good across the lake.
Yeah, I would imagine. What are you, maybe 60 miles from London, Ontario? As a crow flies.
Yeah,
probably something like that. So, what did you do for a living? It sounds like you worked for. Did you work for General Electric in the locomotive division?
Yeah, and I was a GE transportation locomotive person. Then I did off highway, which is like parts for the gigantic open pit dump trucks. And then I did gas power for a while. I did nuclear power for a while. I was at the GE Research Center in upstate New York for a while. And now I'm back with Wabtec, back to building locomotives, pretty much where I started. But I'm a manufacturing guy. I'm journeyman tool and die maker. I figure out how to make things.
Okay, well that's cool. So I'm assuming you're an engineer of some sort then.
Manufacturing, yeah.
Okay, like an actual engineer or a manufacturing guy.
I like to say I'm a manufacturing engineer. I spend most of my time on the shop floor, not so much at my desk.
Okay.
Yeah. So we figure out how to make something. I go figure out how to do it.
Okay. So without revealing anything I don't want you to answer any questions you don't want to answer. But so how long have you been with GE now? Probably like 20 years?
Oh, yeah, between GE and Wabtec, 17.
So what's 17 Labtech as opposed to GE?
Well, so gosh, probably 6, 7 years ago, GE sold off they were selling off everything that wasn't nailed down. They sold off the transportation division to Wabtec, which is short for Westinghouse Air Brake Technology. And so GE has divested from the locomotive business. It's owned by Wabtec now. And from the inside, the only thing that's different is the sign on the door.
Okay, so am I the only guy on the planet then that doesn't realize that a lot of the new locomotives we see would have the Labtech faceplate on them, nameplate on them?
Yeah.
Okay, and that's about 6 years ago, you say?
Yeah, somewhere in there. I was at Power when it happened, so it's a little bit fuzzy in my head.
Okay, so over the years, so you worked in locomotive manufacturing before, many years ago. You're kind of back to locomotive manufacturing. Can you tell us what you've noticed to be the biggest difference from when you started to today in locomotive manufacturing?
I don't know if it's really changed a whole lot in the time that I've been there. I mean, like any other industry, we're always trying to figure out how to do more with less. So seeing a lot of the old manual equipment going away. We still have a surprising amount of it, but it's always going away and getting replaced with something automated. But no, in the last 17 years or so, it really hasn't changed a whole ton.
No, has horsepower increased or anything like that?
Not really. I think the big thing that happened was the Tier 4 introduction was the emission compliance. They're just so clean. We actually had a hard time getting our test facilities built to prove we were meeting the spec, because the spec is so, I don't know how to say it. The amount of particulate that can be in the air is so low that it's hard to build a sensor to register it. But yeah, I think that was the biggest thing. But I don't know. I think like in the 4,400 horsepower range, I think we hit a sweet spot with the railroads, because gosh, it was before I started. We're building the AC 6000, and that was really going to be something. It was a 16-cylinder engine, 6,000 horsepower, and it sort of flopped. And I think, and this is just my opinion, that railroads figured out if they wanted 12,000 horsepower on a train, they were better off with 4,000 horsepower units than 6,000 horsepower units. I think it gave them more flexibility.
Oh, okay, well, that's interesting to know, though. So over the last 20 plus years, then really things haven't changed that much, other than emission controls probably, and of course PTC, I suppose. Power. What does PTC stand for?
Positive train control.
Train control.
Actually, the big thing though really was the Locatrol enabled the DP units, but I don't have anything to do with that. That's magic the guys down the street do.
What did you call it?
Locatrol is what enables the distributed power units.
Okay.
They got the engines running in the middle of the train remote.
Oh, all right, cool. Yeah, there's nothing cooler than seeing, being at Horseshoe and seeing mid-train helpers.
Yeah.
Just carrying on. You know what we need, David, for the podcast?
What's that?
And Kelly, I'm interested in your opinion, too.
Okay.
We need PPC.
PPC.
Yeah.
Positive podcast control.
Yeah, positive podcast control.
Oh, Jesus. Oh, Jesus.
So in case it's going off the rails, it just corrects itself.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Somehow it shuts off my microphone or something, and a light flashes in your guys' microphone, and you have to pick up the slack or something.
Abort.
Yeah, exactly. Don't let Lionel talk anymore. I got a million questions about your layout, Ray, so be prepared that this may take several dozen hours to get through.
Well, he has a Facebook page, Lionel, which is
does
good.
He?
Yeah, it's the same thing. Bessemer Lake Erie Railroad in HO scale.
Is it private?
Yeah.
Is it private?
Yeah, I think so. I had to join it.
I just have a couple, you have to answer a couple questions. I can't believe how many bots and spammers try to join the page. It's that's the only reason it's there. I pretty much accept everybody. I just,
So
the people.
Bessemer and Lake Erie Model Railroad, or an HO scale. Okay.
HO scale.
Okay. Yeah, that seems to be a problem. We've never had that problem that much on the podcast. Let me see. Okay, somebody's going to have to send me a link because I'm not having any luck. Why am I so incapable of doing this? I put in Bessemer and Lake Erie in HO scale, and I'm getting tangent models, the train station scale.
Bessemer Lake and the ampersand or the ensign Lake Erie RR in HO scale.
Oh man,
you guys are going to be better at finding the Facebook page than I am.
Well, yeah, we got to tell everybody. Lake Erie RR in HO scale. Oh, I think I may have found it. Somebody helped me. No, still no. Oh, there it is. Yeah. I got it. Private. 280 members.
Yep.
Yeah, sounds right.
Okay, I'm going to have to.
It was probably 279 as of this morning, and then I joined.
It won't let me join.
Yes, it will.
This group.
You got to answer the questions.
Oh, you know what? I'm on the Modeler's Life page. So it doesn't this profile, this group does not allow pages to join, so I have to go as an individual.
Oh, okay.
All right.
I'll have to see if I can figure out how to toggle that. That was unintentional.
Yeah. You'll have to toggle that. All right, now here it's me. David, say something because it's me typing again.
Something. How's everyone doing?
Do you understand how? David, do you understand how an audio podcast works?
Well, you got to have audio, and you got to have something to talk about.
Hey, Ray, do you have a track plan anywhere?
It is on one of my YouTube videos. I kind of walk through the track plan. It's not pretty, but it's a hand drawn, but I kind of walk through it.
So did you ever look at that? Wow, look at that. Wow. Today or a couple of days ago, somebody put, this is you put it on the NMR community, the community group for the big organization. You put your page on there. All right, let me see if I can find it. Now I've got to scroll and scroll. Oh my goodness, great. There it is. I got it. Oh, now I can join the group. Oh no, here's the questions.
Yeah.
Why would you like to join? You know me personally, aren't into trains, but you like seeing what I create. Well, that's true. I do know you personally. Although we've never met face to face, I can say that I know you.
Yeah.
I just love the B&LE and other steel related railroading. No, I'm not sure that's true. I just like seeing model trains of all kinds. Well, that's true. I'm a fellow modeler looking for ideas. That's true. Okay, so you can only click off one. I'm going to go with I know you personally. But then it says I'm not into trains. I'm a fellow modeler. I'll go with that one. See if I get accepted. Admins have received my request and are considering it. It says.
Oh. Well, next time I open my Facebook, I'll gladly accept that.
Okay.
Well, you got mine too, right? I didn't even know you had a Facebook page.
Oh.
He's going to be up to 282.
I honestly, I do more with the YouTube channel than I forget I have the Facebook page half the time, honestly.
You should get it going and try to post once a week, just a picture or something, because you're doing some really cool stuff. And, I mean, this your most recent video, we're going to get to it. I actually was watching it, some more of it, because you only posted it 2 days ago, as of when we're recording this. And it's of this gigantic bridge you built, but we're going to get to that. So, you moved. Did you build this house? Was this house already ready to go, or was this house pre-built? Where are we at?
So it was pre-built. It's a manufactured home, actually. You know, like one of those ones they build in a factory and then come set it on a basement.
Okay.
But you know, like any good modeler would do, as I was house hunting, I was telling my realtor that really the only thing that mattered was it had to have a high ceiling, nice dry basement. And this lady must have showed me, I don't know, 5 or 6 houses, and they were all beautiful, but you know, terrible basements. And so I eventually started pulling up videos of people's model railroads and said, no, I want to do this. And, so she showed me this place, and I walked in, and it was a nice place. It's on a nice property. I'm kind of out in the country, and I'm like, oh, you know, this will work. I wouldn't mind living here. And I walked in the basement. I said, yep, that'll do, donkey. Where do I sign?
So what's the size of the layout?
It's pretty much 30 by 58. I think it's like 29 something by 49 something. It's 30 by 50.
Okay, 30 by 50.
And when did you move into this house?
I think right about now I'm hitting my 5th anniversary here.
Okay, so somewhere around 2021.
What year is it? Yeah.
Based on your Facebook,
Yeah.
I'm just looking at the pictures.
Yeah, it was during COVID, so yeah, that's
you did a complete renovation of the basement then.
yeah. So when I moved in, it was like sectioned into rooms with like outdoor vinyl fence, and it had a like a 8 by 12 bathroom down there. It was all kind of bizarre, really, and yeah, I spent a lot of time just gutting all that, and first thing I did was shot the entire ceiling with just a flat black paint, and I was working on the road, so a lot of times I was only home like maybe a weekend a month, and so one weekend I was home, I'm shooting the black paint. It's probably 1-2 o'clock in the morning, and it was the dead of winter, so of course I didn't have any windows open or anything else.
Jeez.
And I went through 12 gallons of black paint, and towards the end, I'm starting to think that there's so much mist in the air that I can't see anymore. And it was pretty bad. But what had actually happened was the paint had covered my glasses to the point I couldn't see through them anymore. So it was one of those things that, you know, like nobody saw it happen, but I wish somebody would have, because it was pretty comical, really.
Yeah, I've seen the picture back in, I don't know if there's a date on here or not. Let's see. March 22nd, 2021 shows that ceiling black. That's pretty impressive. And the basement is huge.
Yeah. Because I built all these walls. You know, I kind of had the layout sketched out, so I built these floor to ceiling walls to support the layout. It's basically a shelf layout, really.
Yeah, there's a track plan on, let's see what it is, March 22nd, again, 2022. There's a photo, I guess, off your computer.
Yeah. It changed a little over time, but not much. But you know, once I built all the walls, you can't really tell how big the basement is anymore. But before I put the walls up, yeah, you could have had a heck of a party down there. But when I was track planning, just because, you know, my work background, I'm happy to be in CAD, you know, most of the time. And really what I did was just sort of loosely draw the path of the track and my aisle widths, and trying to make sure that the radiuses would work. And, you know, once I did that, I kind of said, you know, the rest will just work itself out. You know, when I'm doing like towns and like yards and stuff, I kind of like to be more organic, just sit and kind of figure it out as I go, and then sit and do it on a computer. That feels too much like work.
Okay, so basically your layout plan has kind of come out of your head, and it's kind of, you just fit it in as you're going along.
Yeah, like the big picture, I planned. But the, you know, more granular, I do it on the fly.
Okay. And you told me it was double deck, right?
Triple, and about half of it.
Holy moly.
Jeez.
Are you married?
No.
Now it's all starting to make sense.
Him and Marcus, that's why they have big layouts.
Yeah, exactly. But have you ever been married, Ray?
Yeah, I might have had the shortest marriage in history. I was married for 5 months in in 2005.
Oh, okay. Well, that counts, but he still can't be the AML Network's nation's most eligible bachelor, because Marcus is pure. He's never been married.
But that's okay.
Yeah, you can be our fill-in. You can be the you can be the closer.
Yeah.
Wow. So, Ray, Mike, have you seen this layout? You've seen this layout.
Oh yeah. Ray's had a couple of test op sessions, and we've been over to run it and work out the kinks and all that. And even at this stage, it's a fun layout to operate. He's got a variety of jobs there, and you can kind of see it's fun to see the potential. Like, oh yeah, when this gets fleshed out and some scenery on here, this is going to be a really, really fun layout to operate. So, but it is jaw dropping. I think he's got more track in his 1 yard than I have on my entire railroad.
Okay. And the triple deck works, does it?
Yeah. Because I think most of the lower decks, correct me if I'm wrong, Ray, but I think most of the lower decks are just staging. You're not really operating down there, so it's not too bad.
There's a little bit. The lower deck, it's 24 inches off the floor, and I've got like a pedicure stool that you can sit on and work down there. But yeah, it's more of a trains originate and terminate down there. There's a bunch of little switch jobs that in and op, if somebody wanted to run them, knock yourself out, but like nothing's depending on that getting done. So it's on the railroad, it's the Erie branch is what goes down to that lower level.
And do we know why you you settled on the Bessemer and Lake Erie?
Oh gosh. Yeah. So I actually I still live in Girard, Pennsylvania. Is a little town west of Erie, and I grew up here. But right where I grew up, I lived smack in the middle of what was then Conrail and Norfolk Southern. So, I don't know, 500 yards to each set of tracks. And right where the Norfolk Southern tracks were, the Bessemer Erie branch comes down from Albion, Pennsylvania, and joins Norfolk Southern at Wallace Junction. So this was, when I was old enough to understand what I was looking at and getting into trains, it's the mid 90s. And, this is the ex New York Central water level route, Conrail. And it was a parade of trains, but it was just, oh boy, here's another set of SD40-2s on a piggyback train. And, which, I'd kill to see today, but, at the time, it was just, one after the other of them. And it was very corporate. And very bland. And the Norfolk Southern trains were slightly more interesting. They had some high hood GP38s working locals at the time, and a couple other high hood old U series engines, and but it was still pretty bland or whatever. But then about once a day or so, the Bessemer would come into town with a loaded coal train. And typical power at that point would be 4 engines, 3 SD38s, and an SD18. And they just come into town like, 10, 15 miles an hour. And they had like a gyro light, Mars light on the front of the engine. I thought that was cool. And up until the mid 90s, they were still running with cabooses. And it was just so strikingly different that, if I heard the Bessemer horn, I was going to the tracks. Like that was just something to go see because it was from my perspective at the time unique and cool.
Right.
And
did it have a distinctive horn?
Yeah, you could pick it out. At least I could at the time. And the part of that was just direction too. And I had a scanner in my bedroom. I was one of those kids. But it was just really neat. So that was kind of where my interest got started in it. And there was a huge yard at Albion, and Albion was maybe only 10 miles south. And if I could get somebody to give me a ride out there and see switching at Albion, and they had an SD7 or an SD9 that was parked there all the time. And in the mid 90s, that was, even as a kid in the 90s, you realize that was old and unusual. So it was just a lot of neat stuff. So at that time, I really wasn't modeling the Bessemer. In fact, for a long time, I'm like, well, I'd like to model the Bessemer, but there's just not a lot of equipment available for what I would want to do if I did it. And that was, I would want to do more transition era, steam era kind of stuff. And so I wrote it off probably until I was 35. And then like as the as the internet kind of came along and I started, researching more and reading more, this little voice in the back of my head says, that's a railroad you could model. It's a simple, simple commodity road. It's not overly big. You could pull this off and make it a very believable layout. And that's just sort of where things started clicking into place. And I eventually just came to terms with, that whole you can't get the equipment. That's an excuse. You could start acquiring stuff and making things and filling in the holes, and it'll take time, but if you do a little here and a little there, it's achievable. And that's, I don't know. I think the first thing I got was a Walters Proto SD7 was my first Bessemer engine. I probably got in, I don't know, 2015 or so. And I don't know how many I have now. A lot.
Don't we all?
Yeah.
There's a really cool picture here. I guess where I found a really cool picture of the Bessemer and Lake Erie, Kelly.
Where? Facebook?
On Hawkins Rails.
Oh, yeah.
That's a great site.
It is a great site. We just interviewed them a month or two ago, and we're going to interview his daughter next. And what a spectacular website that is.
Yeah, jeez.
But the Bessemer and Lake Erie is just such a, I don't know. It's a layout with such character. It's another one. It's another one of those railroads that was not gigantic, but tons of character.
Yeah, felt bigger than it was, maybe.
Yeah, felt way bigger than it was. Absolutely, I agree with that. And yet it only says here it had like 129 miles of track. Like that's not very much. I'm fascinated by all those railroads from the 50s, 60s, 70s that were relatively short, but had all this trackage and all that cool stuff. And I mean, Bessemer and Lake Erie. I mean, for model railroad fans, wow! And it's on the Appalachian Railroad Modeling website. There's a thing about the Bessemer and Lake Erie, and there's a map, a cool map. Yeah, because it only ran basically from Erie to Pittsburgh.
Yeah, Conneaut, Ohio's the docks.
And what did it haul mostly? Was it coal that it was hauling, or was it steel that it was hauling?
So it depends what decade you're looking at. But through, I'd say most of the good years, it was probably about 50% iron ore, and then maybe 30% coal or so, and the rest would just be the miscellaneous. Some steel for sure, some scrap, and then. Up through the 50s, there was more online merchandise traffic than I think people immediately realize till you really start looking.
So what era are you modeling?
52, but I am not a stickler. So I kind of let myself go about 10 years either way. I don't want to put a CN SD70 next to my, next to one of my steam engines, but I will stretch out and, grab an RS11 or something that's a little too modern, and I have some 210-2s that would have been, retired, but not by much, so just, to keep it interesting. And, hey, it's my railroad kind of thing. But the reason I settled, 52, like a lot of people, that was the last year they really, really ran steam. And, but also, by I think 55, it was a double track railroad the whole way from Conneaut all the way to Pittsburgh.
Wow, I didn't know that.
It was and which this is one of the other, like, it kind of makes a fun railroad to model because it was an extremely high tonnage road. It was somebody described it to me once as it was basically a conveyor belt for U.S. Steel. And so from a traffic density standpoint, you can run a lot of trains in an op session, and, it doesn't really seem that far off. But by 50,
I see.
Sorry.
I'm sorry to interrupt you.
No problem.
But I'm asking questions that David should be asking. Are you still here, Mike?
I'm still here.
Attaboy. So what did it, because I see it connected with the Union Railroad down in the Pittsburgh area. So when you say iron ore, was that coming from the steel mills, or was that
Going.
to the steel mills? Okay, at Conneaut, the freighters would unload. They'd load up in Superior, up on Lake Superior at the tip of Superior or wherever, and then they would bring the iron ore down to Conneaut, then the Bessemer and Lake Erie would take it to Pittsburgh.
Right. And U.S. Steel owned it all. U.S. Steel owned DM&IR. They own the boats, and they own the Bessemer, and they own the Union.
Wow, and the Union, or the Union Railroad.
Yeah,
they probably own the Union as well. And then it had a couple of small branches, like into Meadville and Hilliard's. And I'm assuming that was for like at Kaler or Hilliard's. That was probably coal. Yeah.
All the branches. Well, Meadville was kind of just more of a connection than anything else. And they owned an amusement park. They built an amusement park. It was called Conneaut Lake Park, just outside Meadville, and the tracks went right into it, and it was one of those, they advertised, days out from the city, and ran exposition trains and everything else. I think they sold it, I don't know, somewhere around the Depression, maybe right before. But the park existed up until pretty recently.
Really?
Yeah.
Isn't that weird how a big company like that would decide that they wanted to have an amusement park? That's weird. That's like my dad worked for IBM. For pretty much most of his adult life. And they had 2 golf courses in the world, one in Toronto and one in just halfway across the southern tier there in New York. Ellicottville. No, not Ellicottville. Endicott, New York. But they had these 2 golf courses, magnificent golf courses for the employees. My dad would always say, because he was thrilled, he was a golfer, my dad would always say, why do we have a golf course? Oh, well, I guess we're lucky. And the same kind of thing. You got, the owning an amusement park. So, Mike.
Yes?
You're an Erie boy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like you spent some time in Erie. Where'd you grow up?
Sunbury, which is in central PA.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Okay. You ended up in Erie because of the hospital.
Yep. When I got in the Navy, that's where I ended up.
Okay. And what hospital were you in? You weren't in the Cleveland Clinic, because that's in Cleveland.
That's in Cleveland. Yeah, no, I was, I had a couple different jobs. I worked for a private radiology group for a while in Erie, and then I ended up with a group out of Cleveland working in Ashtabula. They had an imaging center, and then I spent the most time at Hammett Hospital in Erie.
So did you ever have any contact with the Bessemer at all?
No, I knew nothing about the Bessemer, because growing up in central PA, it was just, it was Penn Central, Pensy, and that was it. And I have yet to get pictures of the Bessemer, and I think the heyday kind of is over. The orange units and all that kind of stuff has gone away, unfortunately, to my regret. I mean, it's a cool railroad, and haven't seen Ray's, and then we get to mention Ed Cronin. He has a cool Bessemer layout. There's a lot of interesting stuff that went on with that railroad.
Does Ed Cronin still have his layout?
He has a new layout. He moved. That's probably 8, 9, 10 years ago now. He moved, built an outbuilding, and he's got a new Bessemer layout in that outbuilding, and it's essentially complete.
It's gorgeous.
And is it really nice. In the Erie, Pennsylvania area?
Yeah, Ed lives not far from Meadville, down in Crawford County.
Would Ed talk to us?
Probably. You could ask him. Yeah, he's an interesting guy. He used to be, he was a corporate pilot for Dad's Dog Food, I think, is what he did for a living. And he has a restored MG, so he's into that, I think. So, yeah, he's an interesting guy.
Because it'd be cool to have Ray and Ed on the same podcast talking about the Bessemer. Because the Bessemer, the Bessemer, the B&LE is just a fantastic. I mean, I remember it as a kid, living up, just north of Toronto, or in Toronto as a kid. My dad, when we started doing rail fanning back in the early 70s, we made a couple of trips to rail fan the Bessemer and Lake Erie. It's a very cool railroad, and it's very. It always reminded me of being very stout. It seemed like a very stout railroad with a lot of character. And probably because it was so busy, like you say, Ray, it had so much traffic on it.
Yeah. Well, yes, you know, everything they built was pretty heavy duty because the tonnage and the traffic density. So the Bessemer logo where it's got the cross section of the rail in the middle of it. That was their entire main line at one point was 155-pound rail, which at that point was pretty much up there with the heaviest anywhere. And they were real proud of it. And they had that until people stopped rolling 155-pound rail. And I don't know what it is now, but it's not that anymore. But it's you look at all the bridges and everything else they had. Everything they did was really heavy duty for a small railroad.
Yeah. Yeah, like it was like a big, powerful railroad in a small box.
Mm-hmm.
That was the cool thing about it. I mean, it's such a cool railroad. And of course, the paint scheme, if you're doing the 50s, 60s, or 70s, the paint scheme is it's ideal for model railroading because you can weather it up really nice and everything.
Yeah. Well, and you wouldn't need a huge basement necessarily like Ray's to model it either. There was some interesting nooks and crannies on that railroad. The branch that went from NA Tower up into Erie itself.
Yeah.
That was street running, I think, wasn't it, Ray, in 12th Street? And then there was a little station there. There was a little engine, a small, like a vest pocket engine facility there on 12th Street. They interchanged with New York Central, I think, right? That's where those coal trains went.
And the Pensy.
Yeah.
I actually just saw somebody building a shelf layout of just the Bessemer 12th Street. Just because that was a short corridor of, gosh, I don't know how long it goes. It ain't more than 10 or 12 blocks, but I bet they served probably 10 or 12 industries.
Yeah, that would make a cool shelf switching layout, just that 12th Street corridor. So
yep.
Yeah.
Now this particular show is on our free channel, but we're going to record another one with you, Ray, for our Patreon channel because there's lots of cool things to talk to you about. But before we leave the free channel, we got to tell everybody the video I was watching today was extra cool, and I want you to tell people something about this bridge that you built.
Yeah, I'm insane.
Yeah. That I thought to myself as I'm watching the video, I'm thinking, I'm going to be talking to a crazy man.
It's very ambitious. It's very cool.
Really.
No, so it's a model of the Bessemer's Bridge over the Allegheny River, which is pretty much at the southern end of the railroad. The real bridge is, God, I think it's like 2,700 feet or something like that. It's absolutely massive. But I 50% compressed it, and I only built a 12.5-foot version. It is all 3D printed. I solid modeled everything in SolidWorks. Printed it here on my. I have 5 printers in the house.
5.
So when I worked for GE Power, I was a polymer print research and development guru.
Of course.
So
that's what it is. Yeah.
So 3D modeling and printing was something I did professionally for quite a while. So I'm happy to use that skill in my hobby now. But no, it was definitely an ambitious project, and it took me, gosh, probably 2 months between drawing it, printing it, and getting it installed, and at least starting on the scenery around it a little bit.
Yes. Do you mind if I ask you a dumb guy question?
Oh, of course.
Okay. Because that happens to be my specialty. So did you run that past me again about these printers? They're polymer, because you said something about this because as I'm watching this video, hats off to you because I watched the whole thing. It was quite interesting. As I'm watching this video, at some point you talk about this polymer or something, and I'm like, I was going right past me. So what you did for one of the things you worked on or work on is what?
So let me take a step backwards to answer that. So in the 3D printing world, I like to associate it to the machining world just because I feel like machining is things that people can wrap their head around a little easier. It's a little more familiar. So to say something is machined, and I'm air quoting as I do that, is really a pretty vague thing to say because was it milled, was it shaped, was it surface ground? Like the machining can mean a lot of things. So to take that analogy into the print world, to say something's 3D printed is equally vague. There are lots of different ways to lay down material. So there are machines that lay down metal, and there are multitudes of ways that that's done these days. And then there's the whole plastics world, and there's ways that plastic gets printed. So when I worked for GE Power, there was a whole team that worked on metals, and there was a whole team that worked on polymers, and I was on the polymer side of the house.
Okay, so these 3D printers can. So you printed this in some sort of polymer thing, you said?
Yeah. So the bridge, I own 5. I use 2 of them to make the bridge. So the bridge itself, all the truss sections. The printer I used was a Anycubic Mono 7 Max. So you pour resin into it, and the resin is light reactive. So there's a little tray of resin, and there's basically, think of it as like a TV screen underneath it, and that TV screen lights up with whatever's going to cure in that layer, and it only takes a couple seconds. So it lights up, and a thickness of a sheet of paper turns solid. The stage raises up a little bit. You flash the next section, and in Mike's world, this would probably be like flipping through a CAT scan. It's like layer by layer by layer by layer, and you're just turning something from liquid to solid. And you can make really detailed, really elegant parts that way, but they don't have a lot of strength. They're kind of just nice to look at. So then the towers, my piers, the supports, they're printed on my FDM machine, which is fused deposition. I forget what the M stands for. But that's what like kids have in school. It looks like there's weed whacker line feeding into a hot nozzle, and
filament
printer. A filament printer, yeah. And so I got a couple of those because if you just want to make a big blocky part in a hurry, they're really good for that.
Okay. So where was the Allegheny River that the railroad crossed?
So this was where they crossed. It's probably, I don't know, 10, 15 miles outside of Pittsburgh. So, a lot of times the people think about the Bessemer as being a steel railroad and going into the mills, but it really didn't. It stopped short, just outside Pittsburgh in the suburb. And they hand everything off to the Union. The Union would take everything actually into the mills. And the Union's a whole nother railroad that I know there's a few people modeling that. That's a cool freaking railroad.
It is a cool railroad. We talked to a fellow that actually used to work for the Union Railroad. Because the Allegheny River is the one that runs east out of downtown Pittsburgh.
That might be true. Immediately out of downtown.
Yeah. Just in general principles, the Allegheny River comes from the east. The that one.
Monongahela.
Yeah, Monongahela. It comes from the southeast, and then they turn into the Ohio River that runs west or northwest. Yeah. And
you have to forgive me as an Erieite. I think of the Allegheny River running north-south.
Okay,
but
well, it does, but it kind of runs northeast, I guess.
Yeah, no,
yeah.
You're correct.
Rivers don't really run in a straight line.
Yeah.
And of course they all come together at and then there's Three Rivers Stadium.
Yep.
Do you know why, Kelly? It's called Three Rivers Stadium.
Because there are 3 rivers.
That's right, man. Nothing gets by you.
No. Well, seeing I'm from Pennsylvania,
yeah, exactly. Actually, one of the cool places to stand in Pittsburgh. Our buddy Jim Sacco, our buddy Jim's
Batman.
Yeah, Batman. Yeah, he actually was Batman. I'm convinced of that. Well, you never saw him and Batman in the same place.
No, and he had the Batcave in his house.
He had the Batcave. One time when I was visiting with him, he took me on if you're standing on the south or west side at the confluence of these three rivers, so you're on let's just for argument's say you're on the southwest side of the Mahanga, man. There's a huge high bluff, and you look down over the city, and down into Three Rivers Stadium and everything like that. Very, very cool. Pittsburgh is a great town.
It's very three-dimensional.
It is, yeah.
It's a nightmare to drive in, though.
Oh my God, yeah. That part where you take 279 and all of a sudden it's giving you 14 different signs of how to get into downtown Pittsburgh. Oh my God. That's why I'm so thrilled that I take 79 and it's like way west of downtown. I've tried. Yeah, that's a challenge driving in downtown Pittsburgh. And it's not Pittsburgh. It's not far from where the official flight attendant of the AML network, Tracy Boyd, she lives just west of that on a farm. That's her mom's farm is just west of there in a town of something or other. I forget what the town's called. But one time, go ahead.
What's wild is if you drive 279 through downtown Pittsburgh, you punch through the tunnel, and I forget the name of whatever that tunnel is on the south side of Pittsburgh there. But you punch through the tunnel, you come out the other side, and you're like in the country.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's really bizarre.
Pittsburgh is a great town. Great town. It's got a ton of character. A quick Tracy Boyd story. One time I'm flying to Florida, beautiful, clear day, and I'm on the right-hand side of the plane, the starboard side, I guess. And I look down, and there's the Pittsburgh airport. So I take a photo of it, just a perfect photo of it, and I send it to Tracy Boyd because she flies it in and out of Pittsburgh constantly. And I said, "What airport is this?" And she had no idea. And it's like, it's not Baltimore. No. Is it Dallas? I'm like, no. Is it? No. It's Pittsburgh, for crying out loud. You're flying there 1,000 times. Okay. This bridge that you built, how many sections was it? It's 12 and a half feet long, you said, in actual feet. Lord.
Yeah. It's, so the bridge breaks up into 7 spans, sections between stone piers. And each section is 3 to 4, I had to break it into pieces to fit it in the printer. So
we're talking 20, a couple of dozen pieces then.
Yeah, it's over 20. Totally honest, I didn't keep track, but it's over 20.
Because you didn't show it putting it all together. You kind of, and then you did show that you had made a more detailed version of the bridge, but it wasn't nearly strong enough.
Yeah, it was just, I don't know. It was one of those things that just because you can doesn't mean you should. So I was trying to do all the really fine detail, lacy girder work with all the rivets and everything else. And what was happening was, what I was drawing it, the further you go in the design, every time I'd say, oh, no, that wasn't quite right. Let me just, move that, 30 thousandths of an inch or something. I could go get coffee and walk around the house a couple times while the computer regenerated the model. And it was just starting to take forever. And I have, I don't even ask me. I think I've got like 128 gigs of RAM. I'm not a computer person. I just run them. I don't work on them. But I've got a heavy engineering, workstation, and it's not like I don't have the computing power. It's just that you start arraying out, all this lattice work and all these rivets and all this detail. And before you know it, you start thinking about what you're really asking the computer to do. It's thinking about tens of thousands of facets. And so I ended up simplifying it, from just trying to get it designed standpoint. But then when I would print it, a lot of that really lacy, beautiful girder work, it printed just fine. But then, you got to break it out, all the support structure and everything else. And what I found was you just couldn't be careful enough. You ended up breaking the part trying to get it out of the support structure.
Okay, so in the next part 2, we're going to talk about your guiding principles. But I still want to do this for part 1 on the free channel. So then you built this bridge with 20. How long did it take you roughly to 3D all the pieces?
Oh
3D
God.
print?
From the time I printed part 1 to the time I printed the last one had to be 6 weeks at least.
Okay. And so then you put it all together.
Yeah.
Looks great. And then you put sectional track on it.
Yeah.
Atlas sectional track.
Yeah, I figured that would raise some eyebrows. So in my travels for work, I ended up spending almost 2 years in St. Louis, just outside St. Louis. And one day I randomly ran into some guys, and we started realizing we were both model railroaders. And I think he was wearing a Frisco shirt, and I said something, and anyway, he was like, "Hey, you wanna come hang out with us later? We're going to this guy's house, Ken Patterson. He does a podcast called What's Neat This Week." And I was like, okay. So I ended up hanging out with the Ken Patterson crew, and that was something that he had done right about then. Was he'd gone and taken a Dremel to a section of track to kind of emulate the click clack sound, and I thought it was just the coolest thing. So as I started conceptualizing the layout, I thought this is something I really want to do. Not everywhere, because I think it would really start to grate on your nerves if it was everywhere. But I wanted a section, and I started thinking about well, what section? Maybe should it be by the dispatcher's panel or where coming out of a yard? And one day I'm just like, well, right on the bridge, because the bridge will probably help resonate it, and because when I'm not building model railroads and building 1-to-1 size locomotives, I teach high school marching band on the side. So thinking about how things resonate is also in my wheelhouse. But I thought if you take the sectional track and just gap it, then that would give all kinds of room for expansion contraction in the in the build, but would also give me that click clack sound. And I figured by the time I glued in the guardrails and in the middle of the track, that would kind of cover up the weird ends on the sectional track. And by the time I ballasted it on top of that, I'm like, you'll never even see it.
No,
and
that's for sure.
So,
but then you were trying to explain in the video a whole lot about contraction and expansion. That seems to be a concern for you. Well,
so the resin that the bridge is made out of, the technical term is hydroscopic. It basically means it sucks up moisture. So it's just like wood. It as the humidity picks up, it expands, it'll shrink. But I don't really know how much because I don't have lab results on this material. But I'll make my expectation is it's probably similar to the wood. But I don't know. And the last thing I wanted to do was do a project this big, and it's humid, here
right.
in summertime, and I didn't want to get to January and find out the bridge tore itself in half because the track that was glued to it, and that would just be heartbreaking. So it was out of an abundance of caution. Let's say it that way.
Okay. And when you put this, is the sectional track code 83?
Yeah.
Okay. And is that pretty much the standard that you're using for the layout?
Yeah, pretty much. It's pretty much everything's code 83, and then you get into a lot of my yards and stuff. It's all code 70.
Okay. And did you solder the joints together on the sectional track, or you didn't, so that it could expand and contract?
It was a little bit of both. Okay. So I soldered some of them, so there's not so much room for electrical problems.
Right.
But probably about every other one I left open.
Okay, just so for this expansion and contraction. Cool.
Yeah.
All right, that's it. That's the end of the first show. Can you stay for part 2, Ray?
Sure.
Okay, perfect. How about you, Mike? Can you stay for part 2?
Sure.
All
sure.
Right. I don't care, Kelly, if you leave.
Man, tough crowd.
Yeah.
He knows I'm just kidding. I mean, it wouldn't be the same without
That's true.
I'm looking at a map of Pittsburgh and the Three Rivers, and there's Sewickley, which is where Mary Lemieux lives. Okay, Kelly, can you give out our email address?
Yes. If you want to contact us through the wonders of email, you can reach us at modellerslife@gmail.com. That's modeler with one L, like Bessemer, Lake Erie, not two L's like Lionel.
That's pretty good. Or how about two L's like Allegheny River?
Ooh, darn.
So close.
So close.
But it's still
So
a good
far.
one. I can tell you were working hard on that.
No, I wasn't. I just the only one I had was Lake Erie, and then when you didn't care about me sticking around,
one L like Sewickley. Sewickley. It's hard to say. not two L's like Neville Township. This is all Pittsburgh stuff.
Yeah.
Man, they have a fabulous club in Pittsburgh too. I did a story for Model Railroader about it 100 years ago, 25 years ago. It was actually one of my cover photos.
Is that
it's in Gibsonia or something? Just north of Pittsburgh.
Oh, yeah, I think I know what you're talking about.
Yeah,
it's not McKean something or other.
I think it's the Pittsburgh Model Railroad Club.
Oh,
they own the building. Yeah, it's in Gibsonia. They own the building. Blah blah blah.
Is that the one that's in a Union Hall?
No, I don't think so. They own their own building.
Yeah, I know the McKee's
Rocks.
No, McKee's Port was in the Union Hall.
Oh, okay.
And they had a steel mill. They had the steel mills.
Oh, okay. All right. They probably have steel mills in this other one. I should check that out.
Yeah.
The one thing I remember about that was the fellow that I was conversing with back and forth. It was in the earliest days of email. I was conversing back and forth, and he would sign his emails Chow. Only I didn't know what Chow was. So finally I said, what is this that you're writing here at the end of the emails? It's Chow. And I'm like, oh, what's that? Like, are we going to have chow? Like, is that what you're talking about? We're going to chow down? He wasn't too impressed with my lack of worldly knowledge. Okay, that's it. So we gave out the email address. And if you missed that, if you go to our website, amodellerslife.com, and click on the picture of the AML Nation's most eligible bachelor, hopefully you'll be able to click on that picture and the email address will come up automatically. Some computers it is, some isn't, so we're working on that. And, I wanted to tell you, everybody, I keep forgetting this. This particular podcast is sponsored by White Rose Hobbies in York, Pennsylvania. That's whiterosehobbies.com. They're our new sponsor, but I'm not charging them yet. I said to Thomas, I'm not charging you yet because I'm so bad at getting used to saying it. So doing
it in the beginning.
Yeah, you get it for free for a couple of months because I'm lousy at remembering stuff. But it's whiterosehobbies.com, and you go there and they have Bethlehem Car Works. They have tons of stuff. They got a really good website. Mm-hmm. And Thomas and Ryan, tell them, you know what? Go to whiterosehobbies.com and tell them Lionel sent you, and see if that helps. So, David, when you're working on your model plane stuff, you can buy all your supplies at White Rose Hobbies.
I sure can.
Yeah, there you go.
All my paints and glues.
And they have lots of kits and all kinds of stuff. Mm-hmm. And one of the owners is a trained guy. It started out as a specifically model railroad shop, and it has grown exponentially. And now they have RC stuff, and they got everything you need at White Rose Hobbies. whiterosehobbies.com. Right there on 4401 West Market Street in York, Pennsylvania. 717-505-8676. I got to remember to do that at the start of the show. But that's why we're not charging them yet, because I'm lousy at it, so we have to wait till.
Well, at least you're not calling them White Rose Nurseries anymore.
Well, I wouldn't count on that not happening anymore. I think that's a given that it will be still doing that. And apparently the reason it's White Rose is there's something to do with York, Pennsylvania, and white roses or something like that. We need to look into that a little bit more, find out why it's called White Rose Hobbies. All right, that's it. And what else? Oh, yeah. And if you like this podcast, Mike, did you like this podcast?
Oh, it was outstanding.
If you like this podcast and you'd like to listen to twice as much podcasting every week, if you click on our link for the Patreon channel, for just a few cents a day, you can have 2 podcasts, one on Monday and one on Tuesday. And our Tuesday podcast, as you're going to discover, if you listen to this, if you listen to it right after this one, the next day on Tuesday, you're going to discover that as we're talking to Ray, we ask him some more. We get more into one of the questions we're going to ask him tomorrow is his guiding principles for building this particular model railroad. And we're also going to ask him about teaching marching band because I'm not sure. And we're also going to ask you, what was the locomotive ride you took?
Oh gosh, I just had a cab ride in the Western Maryland 1309.
Yeah,
Denali.
We're going to ask you about that tomorrow too.
Lionel, for your answer on why they call it White Rose Hobbies,
Yeah.
because York is known as the White Rose City.
Oh, okay. Well, isn't that nice? I wonder why it's known as the White Rose City. At some point there must have been white roses.
Has historical ties to the House of York from the War of the Roses.
Oh, well, look at that. We gotta delve into that more often.
Yeah.
More into that. Anyways, whiterosehobbies.com.
Yep.
Be there, go there, and be square. Yeah. I think that's it. I think we've covered everything, have we not? We got our email address. We covered our sponsor. We talked about Patreon.
Our limited apparel.
Yes, we have a very small merchandise store.
Yeah.
So somebody please buy a shirt there. All I want to do is the podcast, but it's good to have a merchandise store too. All right, that's it. Now, Ray, at the end of this podcast, what we need you to say is happy rails to you.
Okay.
Now
happy rails to you.
Yeah, we're not done yet.
Oh, okay.
Okay. The key to this is there's no singing, there's no dancing, there's no interpretation of any kind. We just need an enthusiastic happy rails to you.
Oh, I think I could do that.
Okay. Well, Ray, as we close the barn doors on another episode of A Modeler's Life and the sun slowly sets over the back 40, I guess there's nothing else left to do except for you to say,
happy rails to you.
While in Busted Knuckle, guests of A Modeler's Life podcast stay at the Casa del Sol Motor Court and Inn, where late-night dancing at the Rumba Room is a magical event to be experienced.
It's another Lincoln Homer.
Oh, no, I remember I wanted it enthusiastic.
I thought that was.
Maybe that's why you were only married 5 months.
Oh, jeez.